welcome to my channel. I'm so excited that y'all are here. Today I decided we're going to talk about the Maas Universe. So this is my second book review that I'm doing, and as I said, we're not just going to talk about one book. We're going to talk about all of the Maas Universe books, which if you don't know what the Maas Universe is, it's all of the books that are by Sarah J. Maas. She's an author. She does fantasy romance books, and I'm first gonna do just a generic review, no spoilers, and then after I do that, I'm gonna get started and we're gonna, if you've read all of the Sarah J. Maas books, we're gonna sit down. I've got a little cuppy with me and we're gonna just talk. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna well, first I'm gonna spill my water, and then we're gonna talk. We're gonna spill some tea. We're just gonna dive into all of the books, my favorite parts, least favorite parts, and all of that. So if that's something that interests you, then stick around. So ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, written by Sarah J. Maas, was a book that I picked up about 2 years ago. And this is a story that I'm sure looks very familiar for so many others out there. I picked up that book and then I just took off. It was single-handedly the book that got my adult self back into reading. And I think that's a story with so many others as well. And maybe it wasn't the A Court of Thorns and Roses book, maybe it was Throne of Glass, Crescent City. But for me, it was the A Court of Thorns and Roses. And all of her series, I would rate 5 stars. Hands down. I think she is a great writer. I think she does very, very good of twisting the plot to where you didn't even know it could be twisted. She's very good about throwing out surprises that you don't see coming. Very good of interwebbing, connecting the dots to so many other places, and I mean, it's just an amazing story altogether, the entire story. On my Bookstagram, I did post a video about the specific order that I would read the Maas Universe in. I did say that I would start with ACOTAR, and you could either start, so Throne of Glass was the first series that she wrote, and now if you're in high school, Throne of Glass is, I would say, more of her young adult book. A Court of Thorns and Roses and Crescent City are adult books. But if you're looking to, if maybe you have a high school kid looking at fantasy book, Throne of Glass is a great young adult book. There's not any really adult scenes. There's one that I see a lot of people on the fence about, but it's not anywhere near as bad as A Court of Thorns and Roses. I keep saying ACOTAR. I'm just gonna say ACOTAR means The Court of Thorns and Roses. And then Crescent City, they're definitely adult books. So, it depends on what age group that you're in, but if we're talking adults here, I would definitely say start with the ACOTAR book. And the reason that I say that is it's an easy, cutesy read. It's a great beginner book. When you get into Throne of Glass, yes, it's more young adult, but it's a lot heavier. There's seven books in the series. If I'm counting right, I'm like, there's 7 books. There's 7 books in the series, but it definitely has a lot more character growth. There's a lot of point of view switches. There's just a lot more happening than in A Court of Thorns and Roses, and so that's why I say to start with that one. If you differ from my opinion, then that is fine. But anything that she writes is definitely something that I highly recommend. Anything she puts out in writing is definitely something that I'm going to pick up and follow through. So I highly recommend it to anybody looking to read. It does have spice in it. For anyone wondering what spice means, it's what's the best way to put it? Spicy scenes, as in adult scenes. So if that's not your vibe, then that's not your vibe and you don't have to pick it up. But I will say it is not all about the spice. It is not all about that. You could go through, black out all of those scenes and read it, and it would still be a wonderful book. So If you don't like spice, I recommend giving that a try and just blacking them out. If you don't like it at all, then that's totally your opinion. You if you don't like that, I'd recommend the Cruel Prince series. It's a great series as well. And if you don't, I still recommend Throne of Glass. Just Throne of Glass isn't bad either. And so those are my book reviews of the 3. Alright, so in the next few minutes, I'm going to be getting into some heavy spoilers. If you have not read the Court of Thorns and Roses, Throne of Glass, or Crescent City book, then I highly recommend hopping off. Maybe save this video down below for when you do, because we're going to get started and I'm going to go into some specific detailing and my favorite parts, and I will be saying specific names, specific scenes. So if you don't want spoilers, then hop off now. I'm going to take just a sip of my water. Give everyone a chance to stop reading. I'm drinking it's water, but I have some electrolytes in it. I don't know if anybody else, but I have been so dehydrated the last like 2 or 3 days. Really the last 2 days. And I feel like it's just the last month. I've just been doing really bad of drinking water. And I don't know if anybody out there has a young kid. I have a 3-month-old, and I think she is one of, I don't want to say she's the reason I'm not drinking water, but I will say, I will get all of her stuff set up, I'll sit down to feed her a bottle, and then we'll start feeding, and I'll look over, and my water is all the way across the room. And that is why I am doing very bad drinking water. But the last 2 days, I don't know if it's dry air, but my throat has been so dry. But also I need it, because it has definitely gotten me to drink so much water. Okay, so hopefully everybody that doesn't want any spoilers is logged off. My goal for this whole video is that it's going to be totally unedited. It is all real, raw. I have no skit in front of me. We're just hanging out. We're just gonna talk. If I say anything that you have opinions about, comment down below. No mean opinions though. I want this to be a really awesome, safe community to just have fun and talk books. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be serious or start fights or anything. So we're just having fun here. Okay, the first thing that I want to talk about is for anybody that read the whole series, or 15, 16 books. I really should have counted that before I started this, but for anybody that read, is anybody else, her writing starting to get predictable? I don't know if that's just me, but and not her whole writing. There's still a lot of scenes out there that throw me off, and Danica in Crescent City. I mean, I thought I love them, and then chapter 5, she kills all of them. I kept thinking she was gonna bring them. I kept thinking that it was gonna be a dream, that they were gonna come back to life, but nope. And that was that was sad. But with some of like the big fight scenes, like the last fight scene in Crescent City, I'm using that as an example because I just finished Crescent City. But first of all, she had her going in space, and for whatever reason, I think this is a pet peeve of mine, an opinion, but oh, I just realized that I don't have my microphone on. Dang it. That's okay. I'll have it on for next time. Hopefully I'm talking loud enough and it'll be fine. I'll have my microphone on for next time. I guess I'll really see what the difference is in audio. But, where was I? Crescent City fight scene. Oh yeah, she was in space. I just don't like when people just end up in space and they're just floating. I think it's just, I don't know if it's the way that I'm imagining it, but I just think it's so dumb. I don't want to say dumb because that's a mean word. And if that doesn't come out how I was raised. It's something that grates on my nerves. I don't like it. Also, can we talk about how few people actually died throughout the Maas Universe? I mean, anyone that you saw in their specific point of views, they really didn't die. I mean, you saw Dorian's dad point of view, and then he died. And then you saw, I can't remember if you saw any of the 13's point of views. I feel like if you did, it was Man in Second, which I know starts with an A, but I can't think of the name. I want to say Astrid. And I think it's something similar, but I think I'm getting it from How to Train a Dragon. But you really didn't see anybody's point of view, because you didn't see point of view from Danon or any of them. I loved Connor. No, I was so sad. And then I loved how, because like they died in the book, but then they kept coming back in either Ethan's memory or Bryce's memory. I almost said Farah. Bryce's memory, or through Baxian, the hammer, her mate. I thought that was so cool how he was her Danica's mate, and then how that came in. It was so sad that she died and lost him. But I loved how she kept bringing her in. Okay, whenever Bryce died and she saw the Danica and the pack of devils in when she was died, I guess like in their heaven. That was I cried or teared up during that part. That was so great. I will say the whole dying, coming back to life thing is it got me the first 3 times, but now whenever someone dies, I'm just like, they'll come back to life. I don't gotta worry. And I okay, Sarah, if you ever watch this, which you probably will never, don't take this seriously, but I kind of am ready for someone to die. And that terrifies me to say that, but I just am. Because we saw Feyre die, come back to life. For sure once, almost she was about to die. I don't know if she was dead, she was about to die. Nesta saved her, and then there was the first time she died, came back to life. And then we had Rhys do it once, die, come back to life. Bryce did it twice in Crescent City, and then there was Hunt. And I just feel like I'm ready for her to just cut the cord. I'm ready for someone to die. But I'm also not. But that's also why I need it. Because it's going to rip my soul out. Danica was one that hurt. Tharian, I think he should have died. Personally. Like, when he got shot, I was so ready. I was like, okay, he's gone. And then he wasn't. And he lived. Although part of me is really excited for what's... my phone's gonna die. Part of me is really, really excited for what's to happen with him and Satya. But part of me would have been fine if he died. Sorry to say. Why does... Okay. Every wedding that happens never actually happens. I love it. But, so, because Feyre and Rhys get mated and she gets sworn in, but then we don't see that. She just tells us later on through secrecy, which was amazing. And then Kaol and Urena get married. We don't see that. We don't see Rowan and Selena, Aelin. Why was I not remembering that? We don't see Rowan and Aelin get married either. It's just the "Where's my wife?" which that was beyond amazing. But I'm thinking that maybe, does she not like to write weddings? Like, can we not get like a bonus chapter of one? Oh, I haven't read. I know that she came out with bonus chapters, and I think one was in Ezreal's point of view. I heard about that. I haven't read it. I need to. I really need to. Okay, what do we think chapter Akatar 6 is gonna be about? I think it's gonna be about Azriel. 1000%. I think it's gonna be an Azriel book. I don't know who's going to mate. I don't know who Azriel's gonna mate with. I think there's multiples that I think that I would be totally fine with. I think I would, part of me would be okay with if it was Elaine, because I like Elaine. And I think that I kind of like the idea of Azriel being who's this strong, dark soul to be with this like spring and flower and cutesy female. Like I kind of like that idea, but I would feel so bad for Lucian. I think Lucian deserves for Elaine to at least give him a chance to at least get to know him. Just like I know part of me thinks that's not gonna happen though, because in the first book throughout the whole thing, it always talks about how not all mates are meant to be together, not all mates are perfect. But to not even give him a chance, I would feel so bad for Lucian. Do we like Lucian? He's not my favorite, but I don't not like him. I don't, and the more that after he became Risa's emissary, and we saw him more of him, like I kind of liked him even more. I don't dislike Lucian. I also don't dislike Tamlin either. I saw the red flags in Akatar, especially rereading it and then the beginning of Mist and Fury. But also, like, if your partner died in front of your eyes and came back to life, you'd be a little overprotective too, I feel like. Part of me feels like it was not justified, but like, I kind of get it. He literally saw her die and then came out like he thought he lost her. And so part of me is like, well, I can see why he was terrified. Do I justify that for locking her up? No, I don't. But I do kind of get like the overprotectiveness a little bit. He does need to work on controlling his temper. That is oof. But I don't know. I kind of want a redemption arc for Tamlin. I'm not ready for that to be Akatar 6 though. I need an Azriel book. Because and more. Okay. Does Azriel like more? Or was it Cat? Yeah. Yeah. I don't hate that either. I kind of could ship that. I could get behind that too. I could also get behind it being one of the others. What? Oh my gosh, I should have. It's been a while actually since I've read Akatar. I think I've read it front and back like 3 times. But Erwin? Okay, also I've never done the audiobook, so don't hate me for pronunciations. Okay? I saw somewhere it was like, you either know how to pronounce the words or you know how to spell the words. I know how to spell the words, okay? I don't know. I don't have a specific person that I would ship Azriel with. Really? I would be fine with multiple people. One of my friends told me that they thought that Bryce, and not even just one of my friends, but I've heard it from just scrolling book talk, that Bryce could be Azriel's mate. Part of me thinks that would be really cool if that were to happen. But Hunt, like, no. If that happens, Hunt needs somebody else too, because no. But okay. Throughout all 3 books, they always talk about how mates are so rare. But then the Asteri, they took a bunch of people from worlds and tossed them in another one. So my theory is, what if mates aren't actually that rare, but they're just on different worlds and they can't find each other? So what if everybody has a mate out there, but they're just not always on their world? There's a little bit of thinking. I think Connor needs to find someone. Connor needs someone. Oh, there's Perry? I could see that. That would be really, really cute. Dorian and Manon, I think I would love. I heard somewhere that Sarah was thinking about writing a Throne of Glass book, possibly. I would love a Dorian and Manon book. Yes, I would. Or at least a short story. Would love. Also, I would love more Rhys. Was everybody ready to say goodbye to Rhys and Feyre's story? Because I wasn't. The whole first half of Silver Flames, I was just angry it wasn't in Rhys and Feyre's point of view. But then by the... So I wasn't even upset that it was in Nesta and Cassian's point of view. Like, everybody hated Nesta. I didn't feel like I hated Nesta. I was just upset that it wasn't in Feyre and Rhys's point of view. And so, I was just upset about that. And by the end of Silver Flames, I was in love with it, and it was wonderful, and it was amazing. And I think that by the end of it, I was okay that it wasn't in Rhys's point of view. I kind of like seeing Rhys and Feyre's, like, the pregnancy and everything through somebody else's point of view. Part of me wished that we maybe got a bonus chapter of Rhys's point of view. I think I would have loved that. I would love whoever, I think it was like they were called like Illyrian Warriors. They put out a Rhysand point of view of A Court of Mist and Fury, and if they want to write one for Silver Flames, would love it. Also, they did such a good job with that book. I think I only read a little over half of it. I didn't finish it. I want to. But there were so many times that I forgot that it wasn't even written by Sarah. They did such a good job. I mean, just the research that they would have had to put in to make it that accurate was just wow. Collecting my thoughts. Connor, I think Perry would be cute, but I would also be fine if it was somebody else. I'd heard that the Bryce went into the Accord of Thorns. Like, I knew that Rhys and them went into Crescent City at some point. I didn't know, well, as soon as Bryce got the horn tattooed and could teleport worlds, I knew that she was going to end up in their world. Part of me was so upset with how that worked out, because like Bryce could have just trusted, like she could have just asked them for help and just trusted them, and part of me was like, can you just trust them? But I was trying to keep in mind of like what would I don't know them. Like if I just fell into this world and I don't know them, would I have trusted? Probably not, but I'd read ACOTAR so long beforehand, and so I mean I knew them through reading ACOTAR, and so part of me was like, they would just help you, Bryce. Just tell them. They'll bring a whole, I don't know if they bring a whole army, but like they would give you what you need to help. They just don't want to trust you because you're not telling them anything. Just tell them. I kept yelling at the book like that, but I was like, no. She's like, I think she should have just, that part irritated me, but that's okay. And then she totally double-crossed them. What was that? Ugh. Bryce. Honestly, I was really surprised that she went back to Nesta in the end. And then that Nesta gave her the mask after she double-crossed them. I mean, Bryce gave her the parents first off, but it was just like, I don't think she would have, but okay. Trying to keep this only 30 minutes. There was something that I thought about, but I can't remember. I'm ready for ACOTAR 6. I'm so ready for ACOTAR 6. I felt so bad for Dorian. I kind of wish that she went in more with his dad and how that all worked out. I cried There are so many different parts. I am a crier with books. I am not. I straight up sobbed during the 13. When Reese died. And when Danica. Well, when Reese died, I finished that chapter and I had to put the book down. I was crying so much. and I like texted, I remember I texted my husband and I was like, she killed him, how could she do that? I'm so mad. And then I read the next chapter and I was like, nah, we good. I was surprised that Amryn came back to life. Okay, but do you think that we might get a more Amryn book? I'm trying to think, and a part of me thinks that we're gonna get either an Azriel book, because Azriel was one of the main characters that was in Crescent City. I think that it could be. I did like, we got to see a little bit more of, not what Amryn was, but a little bit more insight into that with Crescent City, which was really interesting. Also, can we talk about the whole backstory with the sisters? When Bryce went into the 8-point star and then saw the backstory, that was a lot. That was so much information. I could not keep up. I'm pretty sure I dozed during that chapter. I need to go back and reread it because I'm sure that I missed something important. But I'm planning to do a whole reread. So I'm starting ACOTAR in November, and then I'm gonna finish the whole Maas Universe by next December, which I think there's 2 months that I'm gonna have to read 2 books for. And I think that A Court of Frost and Starlight's gonna be one of them that I'm gonna read 2 books, but I can't decide. Okay, but then that means that I have to read it with either Court of Wings and Ruin or Court of Silver Flames, and I feel like both of them deserve like 1 month because they're both, well, first of all, they're both large books, but I also feel like specifically A Court of Rings and Ruins, I could finish that in like, I think the first time that I read it, I finished it in like 3 days. So what was funny was that, so I picked up ACOTAR and I read and I finished that and it was great. I loved the worm. Can we talk about how my sister, okay, first of all, I've been begging her to read ACOTAR for a while. She read up until Tamlin sent Feyre back to the mortal world, or back to the humans, they're the same world, but he sent her back home, and then she stopped reading. She was like, well, she left, the story was over. I was like, there's still 100 pages left, plus you can't. No, she didn't even figure out what the blight was. She didn't figure out Amarantha, didn't see the trials. Like, I was so mad. For anybody reading, please don't do that. I was so mad. But and I read it, and I read the ACOTAR, the first book, and I was like, that was a pretty good book. Like, I actually really enjoyed that. And then I put it down, and I didn't touch the book for like another month. I got busy. It was a great book, but it didn't leave on a cliffhanger like a lot of her other books do. And then I picked up Mist and Fury, and I think from the first time that I picked up Mist and Fury to when I finished Silver Flames, it was less than a month. I bowled through those books. When I was reading A Court of Frost and Starlight, I was reading on my Kindle, so I couldn't actually see it, and I could see that there was like 5% left, but I thought that, because it was just like a cutesy little book, and I thought that it was gonna leave on a cliffhanger, that there was gonna be some, like, they were gonna turn around, there's gonna be a huge army on the other side, or some huge event was gonna happen, and then it was gonna end. I knew I was coming to the end of the book, but I thought something was gonna happen, and then it just like ended. And I remember I was sitting across from my mom, and I was like, what was that? And my mom started laughing. She was like, oh, it was one of those. I was like, nothing happened. There was no big cliffhanger. There was no big climax. There was no big it was just like a cutesy, and I enjoyed the book. I don't think anybody should skip it, but nothing happened. I was just waiting for this huge event to happen, to leave on a cliffhanger, and then nothing happened. Going back and rereading it now though, because they go in a little bit more with like Nessa Cassian. I think was that the because I know that he bought her a solstice present, and then they fought and he threw it in the river. And I can't remember if that was the I feel like that was in Frost and Starlight. It was either that or the beginning of Silver Friends. I thought that was so cute. Poor Cassian. I love I'm such a big Cassian fan. Not even with the spice, which mm. We'll just take a sip. I just think that Cassian is because he's just like this big tough brute, and then like throughout all Silver Flames, he just had like the cutest little moments, and just like when he took her up to the pond, I think Cassie and Nestor were like perfect together. I don't think that either one of them could have done better, and I think Feyre and Rhys are perfect together. I'm trying to think of if there's one that I'm like I don't like it. I think Bryce and Hunt clash the most. But I also don't think that they clash. Okay, honestly though, Aelin and Bryce remind me a lot of each other because they both, well, Aelin was really bad at it, but she never brought anybody into her stories. Or plans, not stories, but plans. She never brought anybody in her plans. And then Bryce did that a lot too. But she would at least tell him part of the plan. But there'd just be some trick up her sleeve later on that she didn't tell him. But like, Aelin didn't bring anybody into the plan. Okay. For the fact that she knew that she thought she was gonna die, with the plan that Lysandra was gonna be the shapeshifter to be her. And then I forget what the whole plan was, but like Aedion and Rowan were gonna have to go part of it, and then she was gonna die. I thought that was messed up. I was like, okay, you can't not tell Aedion and Rowan that, because that's like part of me can understand. She doesn't want to like tell them that they're gonna die and stuff. Like I get that, but if they're gonna be that big into the plan later on, like, I could see why they were both mad that she didn't tell them, because that's just messed up. I was like, Aelin, you can't keep something like that from them. And then it was fine, and she didn't even die. But yeah, part of me just like I just want one of the main characters to die. But I also don't, because I love all of them. But that's also why I just don't want any more of the they die and then they come back to life, because that got me the first like 3 times. But then now we're on like the 6th time, and now I'm just like, you know, can one of them just die, or can it just not happen, or like they don't even die and come back to life, but they either need to die or they need to be saved. I'm kind of done with the wishy-washy. Sorry about that, I'm back. My phone died. I knew that it was a little bit low. I was hoping it would be fine. Oh, I'm hitting that. Hitting that table back there. Where was I? Oh, I'm ready for someone to die. That's just me. That's just me. Can we talk about Kingdom of Ash? So, for so many people, it's their favorite book. I don't feel like Kingdom of Ash was my favorite book. I don't even know if it was in my top. It was a great book, but compared to all of the other Throne of Glass, like, I think there's a lot of others that were. Empire of Storms, for me, was my favorite. I loved it. I will never read the Throne of Glass series without Tandem reading Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn ever again. I didn't do it the first time, and I'd heard about it, but I was like, no, it's so much work. I don't want to do that. It'll be fine. No, I was so mad. The whole time that I was reading Tower of Dawn, I was like, I'm never not doing it ever again. I'm not doing it. And so I think that I would have enjoyed Tower of Dawn 1,000 times more if I had tandem read it the first time, and I didn't do that. And because of that, I think that I spent the majority of my time reading Tower of Dawn just angry that I couldn't move on to Kingdom of Ash. That I couldn't move on to Kingdom of Ash, and I was just so upset about it. And so it just made me not enjoy it as much. So for anybody that's about to start Throne of Glass, which hopefully you're not, because I have been majorly spoiling. I haven't talked that much about Throne of Glass, but some spoiling for sure is about to happen. So, but I'm never not going to tandem. And for people that disagree with that, that is all you for sure. I just thought the only reason why is because Empire of Storms was so amazing, and then it left on the biggest cliffhanger ever. That I just wanted to move on to Kingdom of Ash, and I couldn't. So then Tower of Dawn for me was just this obstacle to keep going, rather than I could actually enjoy it. And so I'm definitely tandem reading it the next time. Also, do we like Kale? Is that how you pronounce his name? I pronounce it Kale, which that might very much be the incorrect, but like I said, I've never audiobooked. I did the graphic audio for Court of Thorns and Roses. For anybody that enjoys that, amazing. They did a great job. Highly recommend it. I highly recommend the Fourth Wing one too. I was audiobooking the first Court of Thorns and Roses books, and I had it hooked up to my car, you guys, and I turned it on. My husband was, I'm just glad it was my husband and it wasn't like my parents. Oh my god. Not that I'm like 26 and I'm still terrified of my parents knowing what I read, but it was Callan my I think it was either Calamai or it was one of the times that Tamlin and Feyre were, there was a spicy scene that started playing, and if anybody listened to the graphic audiobook and listened to one of those scenes, oh god, I hope my parents don't watch this. The voice actor for Tamlin, goodness. Now my husband, every time I think or talk about those books, he always makes like this mock version of Tamlin during the spicy scenes, because it was just funny. I couldn't. I'm so Reese doesn't make that much noise, which I'm like, I hope this is, but now he just mocks me every time. So fun fact, my husband makes fun of me about that now. I was talking about something. Throne of Glass. Oh, Kale. I hope that's how you pronounce it, because otherwise I don't know. Chaol. How Chow? That's how my friend pronounces. She pronounces it Chow. And I just, is that how you pronounce it? I did Kale. I don't like Chow. Whenever I read it, I pronounce it how I want to read it. If it's too hard to read, then I just do da-da-da-da, and then I keep moving because the name's not that important anyways. Someone said, oh my gosh, I saw someone and it was like all of these spicy scenes, and then when the girl like yells the guy's name, and it's you enjoy the shorter names, but then there's the names that just grate on your nerves. And so it was like, what was the most ick name that you ever heard? And some of them were pretty good. Mine was definitely from Throne of the Fallen, Leviathan. I couldn't imagine that. That was oh the things that we talk about. It is unedited, so oof. I hope my parents don't watch this. Oh. But do we like Kale? I think we liked Kale. I don't dislike him. I think he was one of the ones that went through the most amount of character growth throughout Throne of Glass, for sure. With that being said, are there things that I don't like about him? Yes. But I think that's with everybody. Not every character's perfect, just like not every person's perfect. Like my best friend, I could list off a couple reasons in him. Not that I don't be like, there's a couple of reasons that I don't like her. No. I love my best friend, but everybody has faults. Like I have faults. So it makes sense that there's gonna be things of every character that I don't like. There's things about Feyre and Reese and Bryce that I just don't like. And that's how it's supposed to be. I do think Kale goes through the most amount of character growth. I was talking to one of my friends about it, and she said that she thinks Kale's a hypocrite. I couldn't disagree. I don't know. I will say, I saw a meme somewhere, and it was like, Kale trains and starts dating an assassin. Kale angry when the assassin does her job. And it is, yeah, I mean, you brought in, well, I guess Dorian brought in Selena to be an assassin, and then Kale trained her throughout that whole competition to become an assassin. She wins, becomes an assassin, and then he's angry that she's an assassin. And was that a surprise? No, you knew she was an assassin. You fell for her while she was competing to become an assassin. And if she didn't, she would have been right back either dead or to the salt mines. And so it just, did anybody see that did anybody see that Selena was gonna be Aelin at the beginning? Did anybody know that Lydia was gonna be Agent Daybright beforehand? I figured it out. I'm a little proud about that. Yes, I am. I texted one of my friends who she had read Crescent City beforehand, and I said I need it to be noted that I think Lydia is Agent Daybright. I thought it was Celestina at first. If anybody else thought that, you are not alone. And then I asked her if it was Celestina, and she said no. I kind of wish that I didn't, but I knew it was, I thought it was Celestina, but I also, there was always something in the back of my head that was, I feel like it's Lydia. Or at the time, the Hind. I don't think we knew her first name yet. But I figured it out first. But then part of me, I figured out it was Lydia, and then part of me was just, no, it can't be Lydia. I think it's Celestina. And then it was Lydia. But did anybody figure out that Selena was gonna be Aelin? I thought because she had mentioned Aelin, and then Selena had thoughts about it, and I can't remember the exact thoughts, but I did pique my interest. So I was like, to the point that I thought maybe Selena knew Aelin, or she knew about her. Did I think Selena was Aelin? No. I was surprised about that. Very surprised. I like Rowan. I loved Rowan and Aelin's dynamic. It was so funny. And then there was the scene with the 3 scratch marks that he saw, and then he had threatened to whip her beforehand. That was just amazing. I loved all of the different point of view switches that the Throne of Glass has. I love when they switch point of views. It makes it a heavier read, but I just enjoy it. It makes it so much fun. My kitty's trying to get up onto my bookshelf. She made a good decision. She left. Sorry, I keep looking at my cup. I have like grains at the bottom, but I put a hydrating powder And I think that's what it is, and it just didn't all dissolve. But it now looks brown, and it's weird. Okay, KOA. I think I would have enjoyed KOA if it was split into multiple books. I think the only reason I didn't like KOA was because I felt like she had just shoved all of this information and compacted it and forced it to be one book. Hey, Jello, you gonna be bad. You gonna be bad. Yeah. I think I would have enjoyed it if it was 2 books. Because it was just a lot for one book. And then whenever we got to the fight scenes, it was just fight scene, fight scene, fight scene, fight scene. I needed more in between. Also, did anybody else just start feeling like all of the fight scenes were the same thing over and over again? That's just me. I think the 13 saved KOA for me, at least the ending. I mean, the ending was great, but with all the fight scenes, because it just started feeling like I was reading the same thing over and over again. There was a huge bleak moment, and everyone was gonna die, and there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And then Aelin would have something up on her sleeve, and the whole army, or like the Assassin's Keep, would show up and save the day. And I just was ready for one of them not to be saved. Which I guess that was the 13, because then the 13 stepped up, saved them, and they died. Which that was so sad. I said that so casually, but that was so sad. And so I think that was great that she added that in, because otherwise it really just would have felt like the same thing over and over for me. So those are my opinions. And I know that all of them, these are just, we're just chilling. We're talking. We're a cereal tea company, spilling the tea. Oh, please don't make fun of me. But I read ACOTAR, and then I joined all of these Facebook groups. And I kept seeing cereal tea company, and I asked what that meant. I think I made a post, and I just asked what's cereal tea company? What does that mean? I keep seeing it on t-shirts, and it's cereal spilling the tea, gossiping. I felt so silly after that. And then I tried putting LOL, but just as I clicked post autocorrect, change it to laugh out loud, so everyone was like, you're an oldie. And I'm 26. And I swear I was trying to say LOL. I didn't even anonymously post it. I told my friend, one of my friends who read it, I told her that I did that, and the only thing she responded was, I really hope you anonymously posted that. I did not. Listen, I don't put 2 and 2 things together, okay? There's very few things that I can figure out in books. Sometimes I can, sometimes it doesn't click. Did anybody try to figure out Amarantha's riddle? I figured it out when Favor figured it out. As she was going through and putting the pieces in her own mind together, I figured it out. Part of me didn't, I kind of tried to figure it out beforehand, but I didn't make it a priority. I'm very much a mood reader. I like the surprises. I figure things out when the main character does. But part of me wanted to try. Although Agent Daybread, I think, was the first one that I really wanted to figure out. I tried so hard to figure out, this is going off topic, but for Fourth Wing, Violet's second signet. I reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame before reading Onyx Storm, and I tried so hard to figure out what Violet's second signet was. I thought I had it. I had 2. I had 2 that I thought was, and I thought she was a siphon, or I can't remember what the other one was, but I thought she was a siphon. I think the other one was similar to a siphon, but it wasn't. I was so far off. First of all, I didn't even think about it. But I'm not gonna say what it is, because I didn't say that there would be Fourth Wing spoilers in here. But well, I guess I kind of spoiled it if you thought that it was a siphon too, so I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm just more of a mood reader. I don't try to figure things out. It makes my brain hurt. I loved all the connectivity with Crescent City. I loved how she brought in Throne of Glass. I love how she brought in A Court of Thorns and Roses. I would love to see. I just love when all of the books spiderweb and point to one another. That's why I read a lot of vampire books and just fantasy in general, fae, fantasy, vampires. But when I was younger, but specifically in high school, college, I jumped around reading different vampire folklore type books because I just loved how all of these authors would create this vampire based off of this folklore and then just completely take off and turn it into something that was based off of those folklores, and turn it into their own. And then I love reading all of the different fae books, the vampire. It's just they all have the same folklores that come into it. The salt is the protective. I mean, vampires drink blood. That's a given. The salt's the only one I can think of, though. But yeah, I read the salt thing in Throne of Glass, and then it brought me back to the Iron Fae series because they have the salt as well, for the protectiveness, and it's just so interesting how they bring it all in and stuff, and how like Twilight has their vampires that fit into the world and the human world, and they glitter. For anybody that has only watched the movies and thinks the glittering so stupid, I thought, I didn't think that too, but she goes in to explain why in the book, and the way that she explains it, like, it makes sense. Because it's all about how their skin is made of marble and da-da-da-da, and that's why that they have the reflective tendency. I don't think the sparkling like in the movie was, I don't know, but yeah, there we go. Those are my opinions. I got so off track at the end of it, but what's one other? I feel like I tackled everything that I can think of with the ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, Crescent City. Yeah. I think Gwen deserves a mate. I'm so excited. I want the acolytes to get a redemption in the Court of Thorns and Roses books. The ones that are in the library. I think that would be really cool. Especially for, is it Gwen? She's an acolyte? Yeah, it's like Erwin and Gwen. I think I have one of those name wrongs. But the one that's the acolyte, I can't think I can't think of the name. But I would love for her to end up with someone and to see. I'm so excited, and I really hope that we could see more of her character growth and stepping out of her shell and getting outside. And then also the one who had her wings clipped. I think it started with an E, I think. I would love to see more character growth with all of them, and part of me really wants to see another Reese Feyre book, but I can also see that I would be okay with if we don't get that. I would be fine with a short story. I kind of want a short story. Reese being a dad, that's so cute. Oh my gosh, they kind of like mentioned it in the end of Crescent City and how Bryce's dad and Reese's dad, they like became friends over talking about how they're overprotective dads. I thought that was so cute. I loved how she brought that in a little bit, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the next book. So do you feel like she's gonna continue on with all of the series? Because she was planning to not continue on with Throne of Glass, right? I thought that that was supposed to be done, but I kind of heard a rumor she was thinking about making at least another sort of Assassin's Blade with short stories, or making another Throne of Glass book, and I would be so down with that. I would be so down with that. I mean, I love it. I love the ending where they end it, and then there's so many possibilities for how you can go, and she just leaves it off that, and I do love that. But I also would love like a Harry Potter 19 years later kind of short story. It would be so cute. I kind of think there's gonna be another Crescent City book. I don't know. I'm trying to, for whatever reason, I now can't think of. I think she left it open very much. I think she could be finished with it, or she could write another book. ACOTAR, it's already confirmed there's gonna be another book, but it wasn't left on a cliffhanger either. I don't think any of them right now are left on cliffhangers, which is awesome. Oh, I would have died if I read the ACOTAR series when it was first coming out, and say A Court of Frost and, or not that. I read A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Rings and Ruins wasn't out yet. Oh, I would have hated waiting for that book. That would have been rough. Well, that was fun. This was so much longer than the other one, but I did a lot more books. It wasn't just the one, it was the whole Maas Universe. So that was a lot of fun. Every Saturday my plan is to post every Saturday or once a week. My goal is every Saturday, but sometimes it might be that Friday or that Sunday. This week it's Monday, but I'm still gonna post Saturday. My goal is Saturday, loosely, but it will certainly be once a week for sure. Once I start getting more of a rhythm, I might change it to Friday, just because my family's mostly off on the weekends. Holidays also might be a little bit trickier, but we'll see. But it will be certainly once a week for the book reviews. So excited. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe down below. Also, check out my Bookstagram at MSK Reading and Writing. I would love to see you guys over there. I post daily on there. I think over the last 2 months, I think I missed 2 days of not posting, and this was actually that last weekend, and I was doing lots of stuff. I was hosting a bake sale, and so I was just super busy. But I post almost daily there, reading and writing content. I'm working on writing a debut novel while also going through the books that I am currently reading. So comment down below if you had anything to say about what you listen to, or if not, just comment down what you're reading right now. Would love to know. So bye, see you guys next week. That was so rough. Okay, bye.